Good morning, everyone. I'm Lacey Zano. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Saturday morning. This is the first time we've had to do the forum this way. The forums that we originally started were the quarterly gatherings. We did them 4 times a year, and they were the purpose was to have people get out and meet each other, to do networking and share opportunities that we were coming across. So this is very different from me. And so now what I would like to do is throw this back to Jim and see what he'd like to say.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all here on a Saturday morning. I'm really happy that you're able to stay at home today and not get out in this bitter cold and icy weather. We got a couple things that I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware of. Right now through the 29th of February, we are accepting nominations for the True Neighbor Award. And I want to let you know that if you haven't heard of the True Neighbor Award, this award is given annually. Let me see here. During the C4N Nashville each year. It is the, here we go. Sorry. Let's see. It's given in memory of Frank True, who's a lifelong resident of Lincoya Hills neighborhood and was really a tireless advocate for his own neighborhood. This award is presented to an individual who honors local residents who's demonstrated really exceptional leadership for a period of no less than 5 years, with a real commitment to building, improving, and/or maintaining the quality of life in their neighborhood. And what you'll do is you can go to our website. I'll put this in the chat room, but it's n2n.solutions/true-neighbor-award, and it will tell you about the requirements and eligibility for that, and it will also give you an opportunity. I'm doing waiting room. An opportunity to there we go, to nominate. Basically, it's an essay that's required for that. The other thing that I am pleased to talk about today is we back in August of this year received a contract from the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to create a directory of neighborhood organizations. This directory, some of you may have known that we used to keep a directory online, for an old directory online. This is a new directory. It will be used by elected officials, staff of government agencies, other neighborhood residents will be able to access it, as well as other neighborhood stakeholders, really to hear what neighborhood organizations are out there and how you can be contacted. It's an opt-in directory. You're not required to do it, but we're really going to make an effort between now and C4N Nashville to get as many neighborhood organizations on that in that directory as possible. And so if you would like to go ahead and register your neighborhood, we went ahead and put the registration link in the chat room for you. It's bit.ly/2024-directory, and we encourage you to register your neighborhood organization there. Now let's just be clear, because some people get confused about that. We're talking about neighborhood associations, Crime Watch or Neighborhood Watch programs, homeowners associations, condo or resident associations, coalition of neighborhood groups, but it's neighborhood specific. And so if you have a group that is defined by a neighborhood that you would like to put in there, we would love to have it registered. Lacey, that I believe is all I have. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim. Excuse me. Good morning, Brittany. Brittany Irby is joining us from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods and Community Engagement. She is the new director there, and she's going to share some of her insights and some of her experience with us right now.
Well, good
Brittany, take it
morning.
away.
I love that we're going back to COVID times, right? Like, who's on mute? Please let them in. Can you hear me? I think we are all getting flashbacks this morning. But
Yeah.
special thank you to Neighbor for inviting me. I am Brittany Irby, as Wacy mentioned, the new director for the Office of Neighborhoods and Community Engagement. And just a bit about me, I have been in Nashville, which is wild, 21 years this year. I am a two-time graduate of Tennessee State University. And most of my career, I lived in the nonprofit sector. So Jim and I have crossed paths many times before. So I love how life is so full circle. The past almost 5 years, I worked for a PR and communications agency. So that gave me another perspective about some work happening on the local, regional, and national level that tied back into our great city of Nashville. And now I get the chance to work with each one of you, as I like to call them, the Brady Bunch box squares. So I am looking forward to really building relationships with you all. And I told Wacy that I would not belabor my introduction because we've got the vice mayor here and really other great speakers this morning. But a few things that I did want to tell you about and just give you a little bit of insight regarding our office. I have been on a listening tour since I started in November and really diving into hearing about what's happening in neighborhoods and specifically what type of change do you all want to see in your neighborhoods and how can we partner together to make those pieces happen? So I think I have pinpointed 3 goals for my office within this next year. And one is really to build bridges and have strategic partnerships that will help improve our neighborhoods throughout Davidson County. I want to amplify neighbors like everybody on this call. You all are doing some amazing work in your communities and that can be scaled. So what lessons can we learn about what you're doing and share that with other folks throughout Nashville? And lastly, but in my opinion, most importantly, you all know your neighborhoods, you know your communities. So I want to make sure that our office is a resource and a hub for you all to fix the things you want to fix, to make the changes you want to make, and really just anything that you might need, know that you've got a resource in our office. In the meantime, I've shared some documents with Wacy and she will deliver those digitally to you all, but what you can expect are just highlights of what Hub Nashville, and if you don't know about Hub Nashville, please chat me, send me a message because I will happily share with you about the many ways to leverage that particular tool and what they've been up to the last 100 days. Also, what NDOT has been up to the last 100 days. I mean, to be honest, I would love to see a snapshot of how their past 6 days have looked with this ice and snow removal. They have been working around the clock. And I think Mother Nature is just not being cooperative. So fingers crossed for some sun and good weather. But the last 2 documents that I wanted to make sure that you all knew about. One, and my colleague, Kathy Floyd Buggs, is on the call this morning, and I would love if she would wave virtually. But she's the director for boards and commissions. And I tell people all the time, we want to provide you with ways to figure out how and where you want to lean in with the mayor's office. There she is. Hello, Kathy.
Hey, Kathy. Good morning.
So Kathy is an amazing resource as well. If you want to figure out more about how to plug in and where you can leverage your expertise throughout the 75 plus boards and commissions within Metro government, she is there as a resource. And Kathy is also our point person for our internship program. So if you know of any young adults that would really benefit from coming to the mayor's office and just learning with a firsthand experience about what public service looks like and the issues that we are working together across the board to really make a difference on, send them our way. I will say I am from Chicago, and I think somebody mentioned that earlier. I had the chance when I was in Chicago to be a junior alderman for my ward. And so I got to sit right next to my council person and have them walk me through why they were voting on bills the way that they were and explain to me discussions on the floor. And so I wholeheartedly love the fact that we are trying to engage our young people on multiple levels. So send them our way. And last but certainly not least, I welcome visiting and meeting with you all at some point. This is not the last time I told Wacy. This is just one of the many times that you all will see me in conjunction with Neighbor to Neighbor, because I wholeheartedly believe we can do better work together instead of in silos, right? So once again, I extend welcome to you. And if you need my information, I will wholeheartedly drop that into the chat. But I'm looking forward to this morning's discussion. So, Wacy, I will turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany. This is great. So far, so good, right, everybody? Okay, so now the next little piece, I got to keep my time. I used to teach, right? And I'm such a stickler for time that I get kind of paranoid. This is 9:43. I want to take the next 5 minutes for our announcements and brags from our neighborhood people. So, Jim, you will have to help us do this now because it's a little bit different. I can't point to you and hand you the microphone. So if you would like to make a brag about your neighborhood and what's going on good there, or you have an announcement, please, I guess you can indicate by the little hand sign thing, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
so when people do that, I'm gonna give everybody 5 minutes to do that. So get started, everybody, bragging and announcing.
I just want to say good morning to everybody. Sorry, I'm running a little late.
Hey, Sam.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you, Sam. Good. I'm glad to see you.
It's good to be seen and not viewed, as Mr. Winfrey used to say.
Love it.
Council member Ellis is here and wanted to say something.
Okay.
Hey, so this coming Monday, January the 22nd, we are having a community meeting and a Mexican food potluck. If you know anyone that lives out in District 29, we'll be at the Priest Lake Presbyterian Church from 6 until 8 p.m. Sure, a lot of people have cabin fever or are ready to get out. So bring a good dish so that we can all share. We'll have Metro codes talking about how to be a good neighbor and about property violations and some of those standards for, just keeping up your property. And then we'll have representatives from MMPD, from the Hermitage, and also the South Precinct out talking with us as well. And then also on February the 10th, we'll have our bulk drop off trash day. So any items that you have that need to be shredded, any items that need to be recycled, that you see put out up on the curb that Metro would typically have to go out and pick up, instead bring those to the Compton's parking lot so that you can just dump those right off at NDOT, and then we'll have the free shredding service as well. So again, community meeting on January the 22nd on Monday, 6 to 8, Priest Lake Presbyterian, and then the bulk trash drop-off day, February the 10th from 9 until noon at Compton's.
Thank you so much. That is one question for you. Is that drop-off for everybody, or is this for your district?
No, it's drop-off for everybody, and you can bring anything that you can fit in your trunk except for electronics and glass items.
Thank you so much.
And also for those who still shop locally, Compton still has meats, 5 for $24.99.
Thank you. That's great. Good announcement. Okay.
Brittany.
Hey, so the last quarter I was at the Neighbor to Neighbor with the Mayor Freddie O'Connell to let you guys know about the homeless encampment that we have here in Hermitage. And great news is that by the end of the month, we will have 33 people in housing, thanks to our Councilman Jordan Huffman and the new administration, the Office of Homeless Services, getting out there and making sure that everyone has a warm, safe place to go.
Thank you so much. That is very, very good to hear. Very good to hear. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Robin Lovett. Owen. Hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robin.
Hello.
live in Councilman Nash's district, and I just wanted to invite you all to a community meeting that we're having soon, which is around getting pedestrian access on Haywood Lane, or at least making it safer. It's a pretty dangerous road if you're familiar with it. It's off of Nolansville and Antioch Pike, and it's on our high injury network. And if you're interested in working on making that a safer place to walk or bike or drive, then our next community meeting will be Wednesday, February 7th at 6:30. We've been working with the Civic Design Center and Councilman Sepulveda and Councilman Nash and are making some good progress on that.
Well, thank you so much, Robin.
Got Carl coming up here. You're muted.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a 24-year activist in the North Nashville Organization for Community Improvement. I live in North Nashville. After 40 years of activism in Chicago, which was a dictatorship at the time that I was there under Mayor Daley, and I've come to a very democratic city where public officials actually talk to us and listen to us. And my deepest concern has always been that I think it is the responsibility of government, city, state, and federal, that every person who lives in the city, and particularly homeless people and the lowest paid working people who support our city with necessary services and hospitality, should be able to afford an affordable home, and particularly homeless people also, that is warm, dry, and secure. It doesn't have to be large. So the point I want to make to Vice Mayor Henderson and to any members of council, I see Jacob Coupin is here, that housing for every person in the city, not in a bed or in a bus or in a shelter, in a mass congregational place, that should be a top priority of city government, like transportation and trash pickup and streets. That's it.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much. We appreciate your comments, and thankfully we have a lot of inputs now about the issue of being without a permanent residence. Thank you so much, Carl. And now, yes,
we got the recognition set. I thought you wanted to do that.
You know what? I forgot that part. But anyway, I'm sorry. What I would like to, because I can't see who's here, but you did tell me what we usually do when I'm in person, I can see people, is we like to announce who's here from different local agencies. And so officials and let's see, we have some first of all, let me announce our board members. We have Gina Coleman, Lisa Haller, our board chair, Alexa Little, she's one of our new board members, Darren Johnson, Lynn Maddox, and Yolanda Hockett. These are some of our board members. We also have some MMPD people in the house, but I don't know who they are. Jim, could you help me out there?
I know Michelle Coker's here today.
Hi, Michelle.
I've seen her, and I'm not sure who else is here from the different precincts, but we're always
okay. And do we have any other council members in the house?
Yes, we do, and I'll recognize them real quick for you.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Tom Cash is in the house. Joseph Day's in the house. Tasha Ellis is in the house. Jeff Eastlick is in the house. I don't know why I'm saying in the house. I'm not going to say that anymore. Aaron Evans Rutherford here. And I think I've gotten all the elected officials. Have I missed any? You're going to have to say something if I've missed you because there's too many screens.
Right, yeah, and I can't see anybody but Jill. Here comes NDOT is in the house. And I want to say I talked to Diana yesterday. And when Jim and I thought about doing this, the forum this way, it's because I was out. And I grew up in Gary, Indiana, as I said before. I lived in Michigan and Ohio. I know about blizzards and whiteouts and icy driving. And I don't like it. I didn't like it then, and I like it less even now. But because of this platform we have to do it this way, I said, Jim, let's do it this way. And so when I talked to Diana yesterday, I was saying this: we know at least 75 cars that are not on the road this morning. So NDOT, Diana Alarcon is here with us from NDOT, and thank you again for doing what NDOT can do to help us be safe on these streets. And we're gonna let Diana talk about the multimodal master plan. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I am trying to share my screen, so let me know if y'all see that. Do y'all see the presentation up there?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Yes.
And I also want to say thank you to everybody who actually has been staying off the road, helping us get the road clean. I'll share with you a little bit of update. We have been cleaning mainly primary and secondary routes. The weather has not been our best friend. It's been actually really tough for us. The team's been working 12 on, 12 off since last Monday. But today we actually are able to go in and start doing local streets. So if you have a local street that needs to get hit, please make sure you put it in the hub, because typically we don't get to them, but we are able to hit them today. So the team is out trying to get the local street, because a lot of the secondaries, yesterday we had to stop and go rebrine and salt to try to get ahead of the freezing weather. But today we'll be able to be out and hit some of those local streets to start opening things up. And then with the weather warming up tomorrow, we are really expecting that we'll be able to even get more done, that people can return to some normal life come Monday morning. So that's really what our goal is. Nashville really typically doesn't get this much type of weather. We're starting to see more and more of it. So we are working on building up our crew and our equipment so that we can add things to our snow routes and be looking at not just always hitting primary and secondaries, but also hitting local roads, especially the main collector roads in your neighborhoods, to allow you to safely move about. So those are some things in the horizon that we're going to be working on. We've had equipment on order for over 17 months. So we were hoping we'd have it for this winter season, but the equipment hasn't come in, and that's a little bit to do with availability. So we can do that. So real quick, I want to share with you an upcoming initiative that we got going on. This is in partnership with WeGo and Metro Planning. And what we're looking to do is actually get out and have conversations with neighborhoods about what they envision transportation to be for them, because transportation is very personal. And so we're going to, right now we're in the process of hiring a consultant to help us with this. Couple things we're going to look at doing is we're going to look at updating the major streets and collector plan to Nashville Next. And I think that's really important, because a lot of, in the past, transportation should have always stayed with land use, but lately it's kind of pulled away from it. So we're super excited, because this is going to allow us to bring it together, look at adjusting what Nashville Next says based on the transportation initiatives we're hearing from the community. This is also going to allow us to address and identify gaps and opportunities. It's also going to allow us to have conversations about better connectivity, and we will be integrating all existing plans. We're not starting all over. We're taking everything that's done, we're putting it on top of each other. We're going to layer everything so we understand. And that's kind of what the picture on the represents over there. And then basically from all of this information, conversations with the community, we're going to be able to generate a list of priority projects. And that will kind of help us direct how we best spend our dollars to move it forward. And this is going to pull in our Vision Zero efforts. It's going to pull in every single initiative that we've taken on. So we're super excited about it. So Why am I sharing this with you? So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I need your help. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my information in the chat. And if you could please let me know who would be interested in hosting a community meeting for us. We would like to come to y'all. We want to come out, sit and visit with y'all, visit with your community, have this conversation, understand what you feel we need to be doing better, share what is available. You know, by us layering all the plans, it's going to really throw a lot, you know, out there exactly what we're doing, what we got and what we didn't get, and then how we want to do it, and then maybe even how we want to do it better. So I'm going to put my information in the chat right now, and I would ask if y'all could please take my information and just shoot me an email and let me know if you're interested in hosting a meeting. We would really love to have the ability to come to you. And with that, I'm here for any questions, and thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to share this with you.
Thank you so much, Diana. We're looking forward, and let me know if you need anything from neighbor to neighbor to help you with those meetings when people contact you. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Keith Branson is joining us from Westminster Home Connections, and he's got some excellent information about home repairs, renovations for I would call the golden oldie people who live in the city. And he let him talk about that right now. Thank you, Keith. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, Wacy. I just put my contact information in the chat room. And I'm going to, share screen.
We got the beautiful stream.
All right. We're going to replace that with my face. How's that?
There we go. Okay.
Oh, not the same. All right. Well, thank you. I am glad to be with you on the forum today. What a great place for local residents and neighborhood leaders and all the ones here, government officials, to have a chance to discuss these issues. Want to thank Wacy and Jim for your collaboration with Westminster Home Connection, and also a special hello to Vice Mayor Angie Henderson and Director of the Mayor's Office, Brittany Irby. It's great to hear your goals, Brittany. That's really good. I also saw a couple other people, Kathy Floyd Buggs and Terry Rapun is on with, she's our founder of Westminster Home Connection. There's others here I know. So everyone, just want you to know that in the 10 minutes they've given me, I have to just touch briefly on these three things. I want to talk about affordable housing, about Westminster Home Connection, and what we can do together. So most everyone's all in, I think, on the need for affordable or attainable housing, but who's talking about affordable repairs? Maintaining the affordable housing stock in our community is crucial, and it's repairing the single unit housing is key to preserving affordable housing. It's all a difficult problem for anyone to maintain their home, especially an older adult on a fixed income, and it's extremely important to do so. Our average client is a 70-year-old widow making about $1,000 a month. And after she's paid her food, utilities, and medicine, I don't think she can afford a $140 plumber fee to fix a leaky faucet. So we're talking about repairs, that restoration work when an asset breaks or gets damaged or stops working, maintenance being the routine activities or corrective or preventative repair done on assets to prevent damage and prolong the life expectancy. So here's an interesting fact that came out of the USA Today in 2022. It says to work a home maintenance into your budget, as a general rule, it ought to be 1% to 4% of your home's value. That means if your home is worth $300,000, you might spend anywhere from $3,000 a year to $12,000 a year on upkeep. But who does that? Who can do that? Well, we can do this together. As you know, Tennessee's known as a volunteer state, and we've shown time and time again during natural disasters how we can come together and bring relief and restoration. But we have an ongoing crisis of preserving the affordable housing stock in our community. And it's a crucial need. Repairing single unit housing is key to preserving our affordable housing. We're demonstrating through evidence-based practices that home repair mobility modifications are integral solutions to the housing crisis for low and moderate income households. The home repair and modifications will reduce homelessness, protect generational wealth, stabilize our neighborhoods and communities at large, and they prevent illness and injury. So we must invest sufficient resources into keeping affordable homes in conditions that are livable, safe, and healthy. Housing deterioration is a serious problem, especially for older adults. It can damage their physical and mental health, financial well-being, social connections, and ability to age in place. So let me ask you, just thinking of you, if you own your own home, or should I say if you co-own your home with the bank, how do you do the repair and maintenance on your home? Do you do it? Do you pay for it to be done? Or are you deferring maintenance till later? So we're thinking through what it takes to be working on a house. No matter what you do, it's going to require you to make choices on what needs to be done on those homes. Now, when you look at this list of ways to maintain a house for safety and functionality, I want you to know we've been in thousands of houses, and the number one issue is plumbing leaks. You wouldn't believe how many bathroom floors we must tear out and rebuild because of long-term plumbing leaks. Half the houses we're going to have a water leak of some kind. So this list is for you to check for your own use. And then here's another section of that, of how to maintain a house and functionality. All these things are very important for all of us in our homes. So as many of you know, we started in Westminster Presbyterian Church parking lot in the flood of 2010. You know what this did? This got us out of West Nashville and into the homes of our neighbors all over town, and our reality expanded. Now Westminster Home Connection is a nonprofit construction agency serving older adults and persons with disabilities whose homes have become unsafe places to live due to issues of function or mobility. And our declutter program has been an innovative addition to the critical repairs and mobility modifications. We give homeowners a way to stay safe in their homes they love and in the communities where they built their lives. It's amazing because it's so tangible and real. We saw a need, so we built the organization to find solutions. We do most of our work with employees, but we have construction workers on staff and we use volunteers. And for roofs and HVACs, for replacements, we would use subs. Our community leaders are looking for solutions to the housing crisis in our counties. Westminster Home Connection and community partners can find practical ways to preserve existing affordable housing. Here's a quick view of the 240 homes in 7 counties we serviced in 2023. We want everyone to understand the opportunity for aging in place and preserving affordable housing, and we're getting our message out into the community as best we can. National Public Television regularly runs aging in place stories featured in Westminster. Channel 4 ran a story on us in October, and Channel 5 ran a story on us in November. The National Business Journal ran a story on us this month. We have regular volunteer teams from the faith and business community, and we're looking for more volunteers and skilled labor. Our overall strategy combines a well-developed formula with each person's goals for as much independence as possible in a safer, more functional home. We begin at looking at what's right for the person and what they need, not the house. Our first question is always, what is right for the client to stay in their home? And after the work is complete, we send out a client survey and to every home that repairs are completed to measure the project's outcomes. Repairs and modifications improve lives. On a scale from 1 to 5, clients rate the impact on improving their lives to 4.9. Repairs and modifications to help older adults with disabilities live in their homes longer. For this outcome, 97% of the clients report the construction work will help them live in their homes longer. So I don't know, you're like you were, Wasey, we're not in a room live where I could see hands, but I would ask you what you thought our medium number of years that our clients have lived in their homes. And the answer is 28 to 30 years. So preserving homes and affordable housing stock is real and tangible, and we do it in an instant way. Now, workshops could be developed in community locations to learn more about our process of intake, assessment, construction, and making the home more safe and functional. There were 12,500 Davidson County homes that are not able to be maintained. The Metro's report on cost-burdened homes. What this means, for example, is if you have a leak, you don't call a plumber. If you see the leak, you put a bucket under it. And if you can't see the leak, it'll leak until the floor rots out. So this year we've rebuilt the floor structure in 1 out of 5 homes we've been in. That means that these were being destroyed, but by repairing them, they've been saved. 17,000 homes, somebody has a disability and needs modifications. So why aren't people falling and going to nursing homes, not able to age in place in their homes? Well, they need handrails or 88 toilets or ramps. And these are things that are not hard to do. So what you're also seeing here is there's the bucket under the sink. There's a hole right here in this floor. That dark spot is a hole. And you can see as we did the work, we replaced the door and the door entrance, but not the whole kitchen. This way we can stretch the dollars and make that safe and functional. But you can imagine the difference that made for the person coming and going in their home. And then there's others that need some declutter to bring order for their move. Here's an example of what we're called on to do. This floor was falling in, the bathtub was sitting on a rotten floor, and the person couldn't get into the tub because they had mobility problems. So we take the tub out and we put a step-in shower in. So imagine this bathtub on the left is your reality. And you're raising your grandchildren, by the way. For a bathtub to get this bad, there was no one to help. Our construction team comes in and 2 days later, there's a walk-in shower and the bathroom works. And you also know there's a vent in that new shower to remove the moisture. So we also have to make decisions on how do we do what we do. Is it a step-in shower or a bathtub modification? And it's going to depend on the subfloor. Is it in good condition or is it rotted and damaged, and what the material of the tub is? And most importantly, the client's need. What are they physically able to do? So you see this tub cut out. This would have cost $5,000 or $6,000 for a contractor to replace a tub with a step-in shower. It's $3,000 if we replaced that with a step-in shower. It's $1,000 if a contractor would do a tub cutout like this, but well, we can do it for $300 using materials and our own skilled guys. So you can see other examples, holes in the floor where rot has taken place. Water leaks, as I said, are the most common issue. But look here, by replacing the damaged flooring and the subflooring as needed, the sink and cabinet in the bathroom, it's now safe and functional. And that's all that needed to be done there. Grab bars, water leaks. So things you see, chair, depending on their mobility, they need a chair or a sliding transfer bench, ADA toilet, widening the doors, rails. And I just imagine, as some of you can, how it would be, impossible to get up your stairs or the moment you can't get into your bathtub. So we build ramps and handrails and modify bathrooms, whatever it takes to make the home functional. Roof repairs and replacement are among the most costly maintenance expense. But if you have a leak in your roof, there's only one thing to do, and that's to fix the roof. There's no shortcut because otherwise you'll lose the whole house. And it always, it doesn't take that much to make a huge difference. Let me tell you about this one for a minute. We went into this house to cut out the side of the tub and turn it into a step-in shower. The house was almost completely dark. And it turns out that many light bulbs were burned out. It took us about 15 minutes to change 9 light bulbs. And any one of us could have done that. Out of the darkness, there came light for her. And it's us being able to care for our neighbors. So 9 light bulbs, and her house was bright as the noonday sun inside. What was fun to me, let me go back here. All right.
Clutter and stuff. Like the house.
Okay. I mentioned to you earlier, we do some declutter. And these are some photos that have helped us guide into what some conditions could be. The left is hoarding, normal clutter, collecting, and squalor. We find it helpful to identify the category of clients other than normal clutter. This is a real practical problem. We find it helpful to identify the category, and then we can work with those that have the clutter in themselves. I kind of laugh when you look at number one. That's what I think we all aspire to. But after I've had a weekend or these snow days with some grandkids, my house is going to turn into number 4 real easy. So this is something that it does affect all of us in some way. So I'll just say also that any of us can give clients a path to safety and dignity. We can do that. You can do that with us. There's a direct connection between aging in place and repairs. And these show you the path. If an older adult in their home is able to be repaired, they're able to stay there. Here's a quote that's so familiar that if you don't have the money, it's very hard to make that happen. So I just want to urge you to help us to know what the need is. You can come out and see what is going on in the homes. I would urge you to make observations in your neighborhood community, spark a conversation about preservation mattering, and really consider our model as something that you could look at together and talk about basic home repairs in your neighborhood. I have a little list here. If we were doing a workshop, we would have some time to explore it, but I would ask you for these. What do we do now? What do we do? I would say for my list, I'm going to be more aware of home repairs that can be done. I need to check in with my neighbors and find out who's in my community and what they need. What can I do now is, we can also develop several things that can happen, asking our neighbors what's going on in their home, what they need. That's the end of that, Wacy. I just wanted us to be able to say that we're focusing on the impact of repairs and looking for an expansion of the community-wide understanding and support for what we do to help people age in place. We also look forward to learning from the neighborhood leadership on what needs are in their community, what resources there are to help with preservation.
Wow, Keith, thank you. You know what? I was just like glued, my eyes were glued to this because this is so very important for people to be safe. When you're young, you make all these investments and you have your hopes and dreams, and then you start getting old and you start seeing your house is getting old like you are. And while you can put on makeup and get your hair fixed, you need to do something about your house so it can be good too. And I also want to add that Diana and Keith will be at the C4N with more information about what their organizations do. So you want to make sure you sign up for the C4N 24. Now, before we introduce Vice Mayor Henderson, I would like for Jim and Lisa Haller, who is our executive director, to say a few words. Lisa and Jim, can you do it at the same time, or how does that work?
I'll go first.
Okay.
And just because I'm leaving, Lisa is actually our board chair. I'm still executive director through the end of March, and we'll have a new one soon. But we wanted to take a moment this morning just to acknowledge that we've had some losses in our community since the last time we met. We are a small group of people who actively are involved in our neighborhood organizations. And since we last met, 4 individuals have passed away. So we want to take a moment to acknowledge them. Jen Bushing, who was a True Neighbor Award recipient, passed away earlier this year. Garfield Delk, who has been, like Jan, for years involved in his neighborhood organization, NNOCI, in North Nashville, and King Hollins. King Hollins was a board member of Neighbor to Neighbor and chair of the Organized Neighbors of Edgehill for years. And then lastly, we just heard today that Sesway Herring and so we want to remember those individuals who have passed away. So that, and evidently Lisa or Wacy didn't see the text that I had sent her about that. So she's going to be stepping out for a moment. You know, these are people over the last 11 years that I've had an opportunity to work with, and they're amazing people, people who have really dedicated their time and their energy to making the place where they live better. And so we definitely want to honor them today. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa and invite you, Lisa, to talk a little bit about the executive director search that you're participating in.
Thank you, Jim, and good morning, everyone. Jim, I want to also acknowledge and thank you for sharing the information on those passings. We hold all of those folks and their families in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you very much. Again, good morning. I'm Lisa Haller. I serve as the board chair for Neighbor to Neighbor, and it's so great to see so many great supporters, friends, and neighbors here with us today. Diana, thank you. Thank you to NDOT for being our presenting sponsor today, and for you to be able to show up on this morning when your crews are doing your 12 on, 12 off. Please give all of them our heartfelt thanks and appreciation for everything they've been doing for the last week. We'd also like to thank Keith for your presentation today. A very warm welcome to all of our council members that are with us. Of course, our Vice Mayor, Angie Henderson. Brittany, it's great to see you online. We've been exchanging some communications this week, and congratulations on your new position. Kathy, thank you for all of your support over the years, and we're thrilled that you are in your new role at the mayor's office. Jim and Wasey, you've put together another stellar program. Thank you. I'd like to also acknowledge some of our staff and board that are with us today. Sue heads up our emergency preparedness and planning workshop. Certainly a relevant topic as we've all gone through this last week of weather. Trinice Palmer, who is new on our staff in a marketing role. Thank you, Trinice. We have some board members that joined since Jim acknowledged those earlier, in addition to the ones that Jim mentioned. Lynn Maddox, who was with us, and also Kelsey Wilson. Both Lynn and Kelsey are new board members to Neighbor. And we do have one board member who is on medical leave, and we ask you to hold Barbara Clinton in your prayers. She is from the Woodbine community. Someone wrote in the chat, I think everyone is in the house today. I got a laugh out of that. So again, thank you all for being with us from your homes. We do have some other Metro folks that I would like to acknowledge, and other organizations. Some of our fellow Metro Beautification and Environment Commissioners are here with us this morning. I think Meg Morgan I saw, Carrie Rogers, who has served on the Transportation Licensing Commission, Lisa LeClaire, who is the president and CEO of the Greater Nashville Hospitality Association. We have a very esteemed group here with us today of dedicated community members and neighborhood leaders. As Brittany said, you know, it takes all of us to work together. And speaking of that, I want to just give a couple of updates very briefly to everyone this morning regarding Neighbor to Neighbor. As you all know, Jim has announced that he is leaving our organization. He will be with us just for a few more weeks. Jim has led Neighbor to Neighbor. He has been the face of the organization. He has been the visionary and producer and creator and good friend for over 10 years. Jim is chosen to move on. So that brings us to where we are today to begin a search for new leadership at Neighbor to Neighbor. Our vice chair, Tamika White, who many of you know, is leading the search for that. She is she's the chair of the search committee. And very soon we will have the position description posted with an application online. And then Jim, if you might be able to share in the chat what that email will be, or if folks want to reach out to Mika, if you could provide her email, if you have any questions regarding the search itself. We also want to assure everyone that the board is working very hard to make this a smooth transition. It's very, very important to us that our services and our programs continue, that we continue to serve the community, and we are prepared and ready to do that. Just last year, our board embarked on a strategic plan development. We have, as a board, and along with all of our staff, have put together a 3-year strategic plan for Neighbor to Neighbor. Included in that, similar to what Brittany has done, includes a listening tour for us to understand the needs, wants, and desires of the community. And really, one of the fundamentals of that is our programs and services. If you have any suggestions as we go through this transition, Jim, if you wouldn't mind putting my email address in the chat, we would invite anyone to offer your suggestions, comments, recommendations, questions, concerns, anything that you would like to share with us. We would really welcome hearing from everybody. So please feel free to do that to myself as the board chair, or any board member that you may know in your community, board member of Neighbor to Neighbor, that is. And lastly, most importantly, we are inviting everyone to join us at the Conference for Neighborhoods, C4N, on March 23rd. We will be at the Cal Turner Center at Meharry, a new venue for us, a very exciting venue that Wacy and Jim have selected for this year's conference. And we will be celebrating Jim and thanking him for his decade of service to Neighbor. So we look forward to seeing everybody to come out and share with us a celebration of Jim's legacy and contributions to all of Nashville's neighborhoods. So thank you again all, and I'm going to pass it back to Jim and Wacy.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so did we mention that NDOT is the sponsor for today's forum? Did we do that?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I'm sorry, I didn't hear, but anyway, let me say it again. Thank you so much, NDOT and Diana. At this time, I would like to say thank you for Vice Mayor Henderson joining us today. I've spoken with her, and she's going to join us now and talk about what she does and who she is. And thank you, Vice Mayor. Well, I want to say one thing first. Since I've been in Neighbor since 2016, I remember seeing Angie Henderson's name on a lot of things that a lot of our events, and but I didn't know who she actually was. And I really just met her last year at a forum. At the forum, the first one that we had at West Precinct. But I had been seeing that name a long time. But I had no idea that this is going to be the vice mayor. So now I can put a name with a face with the name. And thank you again, Vice Mayor Henderson. She asked me to call her Angie, but I can't do that now. So anyway, Vice Mayor Henderson, please join us and talk about your presentation for us.
Thank you, Wacy. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who is here. I guess silver lining is we've got 60 people here today, many of whom are council members, my colleagues that I am elected to support and serve. And so I appreciate them being here today. As Wacy shared, I had been a longtime volunteer and donor to Neighbor, formerly. I'm old school, Neighborhoods Resource Center. And so asked Wazy and Jim, did I need to prepare some slick slides and get a presentation together? And they asked me just to speak about my pathway to elected office through neighborhood leadership and serving as a district council member, and how you as neighborhood leaders can work in partnership with your council members, because we are all definitely stronger together. Ms. Irby, I have a little bit of a joke that, the council office really is the office of neighborhoods, right? Because council members, we have the third largest municipal council in the United States of America, after New York and Chicago, which Mr. Meyer and Ms. Irby mentioned before. And what this means is that we are very accessible to you. I do have one slide at the end that will provide you information about, how to find your council members and connect with them. But because our districts are smaller in size, we all have about 20,000 constituents. That's proportional across the county, and 5 at-large members. And so whether through a newsletter, phone, or email, we, as myself as a former council member, our current council members, are very happy to work in partnership with you and attend your neighborhood meetings and meetings like this. I shared an anecdote with Wazy and Jim that the councilwoman that has followed me in service to District 34 in Southwest Nashville, hers was the only HOA that consistently, through all my 8 years of service, invited me every year to their annual meeting. And in so doing, we really built a rapport, right? Working together through a whole host of issues around walkability, street lighting, safety in an adjacent park, death of our ash tree canopy. A lot of the issues that council members work on were pertinent for that neighborhood. That does not mean that I did not put in every single one of my newsletters and on social media very frequently and often an ask, happy to join you for those meetings. But I do think, folks, I don't have to tell y'all that serve in support of their neighborhoods, as I myself did, coming up through committees, chairing special events, neighborhood picnics, activities for kids, bike rodeos, annual bluegrass barbecue, street party things, and our roadway safety committee, and chairing that. Moved into board leadership for my neighborhood vice presidency, and then the presidency of that. So I live in a Metro USD neighborhood. It is called the Belmead Highlands. I do not live in Belmead. I push my trash and my recycle to the curb just like everybody else. I'm out here between Page Road, Highway 100, the Warner Parks, and Cheekwood. And I have lived here now 17 years. I am a native Nashvilleian, a longtime neighborhood volunteer, and also a volunteer with Walk Bike Nashville Civic Design Center over the years, and have always really been interested in and wanting to learn about how cities work and how neighborhoods are a part of that. I majored in something in college called Growth and Structure of Cities. So it is a history of urban form, urban sociology, how all these things work together. And what I thought is so interesting today, and I wanted to highlight, I appreciate Keith's excellent presentation. I've heard so many great things about Westminster Home Connection. I appreciate your work, Keith, and Director Alarcon here today about our roadways and some of the challenges of, clearing 5,800 lane miles in a 526 square mile county, and some of the things that Keith touched on, the difficulty of aging in place. That's because we have a largely suburban development pattern. It's car dependent. And that can become very challenging for our seniors. So we do have a lot of nonprofit supports, like something like Senior Ride is another nonprofit that supports seniors in getting, their groceries and going to medical appointments and things like that. But, all these things, transportation, our roadways, our neighborhood design, I believe earlier, and I'm so sorry, Robin touched on, the safety there on Haywade Lane. All of these things are interrelated and connected with each other. Our development patterns, our land use patterns, and that is the majority of the work that the council does. It's certainly constituent service and supporting you and answering your questions and making sure you know about the hub system at hub.nashville.gov that Ms. Irby mentioned, and connecting you with resources much in the way that the Neighborhood Resource Center does, and now Neighborhood Resource Center as well, partnering around educating about planning and zoning and the work that we do. So again, in that regard, we are kind of all stronger together with council members, mayor's office, and neighborhoods working together. So as I mentioned, I was just a volunteer in my neighborhood, and in so doing, way back when, talking about traffic calming. Page Road within my neighborhood is a big cut through from West End, Harding, Highway 100, kind of across and south to Old Hickory Boulevard and Brentwood. So it's a popular kind of cut through, even though it is a very, very narrow neighborhood street. So having engagement with my council member really early on in what was the earliest not very functional or helpful traffic calming program. And again, we're talking like, well more than a decade ago. My engagement with my council member at that time, he did convey to me just in our work on traffic calming and in just working as a neighborhood leader, he suggested to me, I think you would be good for this job, right? And I know that many of us as council members have those same connections where we work with somebody who really has a heart for their neighborhood, who's a good communicator, who's civically minded. And so, so often we see in Nashville, rightly so, folks coming up through their neighborhoods, whether they're a beautification commissioner. I think I saw Ms. Devaney on here earlier, District 34's commissioner, or another member of a board and commission, or their own neighborhood organization. Those folks, you all are very well suited to elected public service, because you really are building social and political capital in partnership and in service to your neighborhood already, right? You're engaged with Metro, understanding those processes, maybe seeing some challenges and some problems with them that you might want to fix or do something about. And really what kind of motivated me into public service, in addition to my former council member saying, hey, you'd be good at this, is I really did want to run for office to address our pedestrian safety, walkable communities, transportation. I had been fortunate, though I am a native Nashvilleian, to live in a whole lot of different cities all over this country and all over the world, rural, urban, and suburban, much like Nashville. And Nashville is a pretty difficult city. I think Ms. Alarcon would tell you, to deliver on because of our suburban sprawl and our size, right? We see a whole lot of cities that get a lot of, rightly, some kudos for their good work that they're doing around walkability and safety. And I often look up those cities. Hoboken, New Jersey was getting a lot of accolades the other day. Hoboken, New Jersey is 1.25 square miles. 1.25 square miles. Davidson County is 526 square miles. So a lot of our problems are often, our challenges are the scale at which we're working. And thus the size of our council, I really do think is an asset, as are you all in neighborhood leadership. And so, I just want to commend the Neighborhood Resource Center for the resources that they provide to help sustain neighborhood organizations. I know myself as first a parent of young children, partnering with many seniors in our neighborhoods, right, to be my co-members on our board. They were having a little bit more time, right, and young families often have less time, but it can be hard. I think we all know that often it's kind of some of that same handful or few folks, right, who are doing a lot of the work of neighborhood leadership because they have a heart for it and they love it. And you can try to build that bench, but people move and come and go. And it can be very difficult to sustain a neighborhood organization. And so I do want to commend and thank you all for that, both neighborhood to neighbor and those of you representing your neighborhoods here today. And I do want you to hear that your council members are partners in that work. So, coming alongside, sharing the resources that your council members provide, linking to their newsletter, posting that up into your social media, liking their social media posts. Honestly, like sometimes the algorithms and things, I remember as a district council member, I would share some things and good night, the same few very kind, loyal neighborhood, but it's difficult. Often part-time elected officials are having to, pay $5 here and there to boost their social media posts so more people can see them and everything. So from a communication standpoint, those of you in neighborhood leadership, sharing the work and the social media of your council members is very, very helpful and much appreciated as we try to connect everybody and do the work that we do. And I do think it's important and just wanted to say, neighborhoods of or associations of varying ages, sort of the ebb and flow of the participation and the leadership and in the engagement. I want to encourage you all, I know council members feel this as well, to sustain those connections and that strength, not just in times when there's a particular development proposal that you might be opposed to. Often I find neighbors are coming together about what they're against. Sometimes rightly so, respected and appreciated. Those are conversations we need to have. But I do think as a city, us coming together more often about what we want for our neighborhoods and trying to see if we can move the window a little bit on what we find as an acceptable development pattern. And I hope that through some of the planning and zoning educating, that's something that you will think about, because as we talked about earlier, seniors aging in place. If we want seniors to be able to age in place, even with the very much respected and appreciated supports of something like the Westminster Home Connection, it is very difficult for an older senior living alone to maintain a single family home and a yard. And so Nashville lacks a variety of what is called missing middle housing. So townhouses, little kind of neighborhood scale, mixed use corner, things where you might have a coffee shop or a store, different, just some kind of transitional different housing models that I think are very important to help older folks stay in their neighborhood, near their church or faith community, with the neighbors that they grew up with. That can't always be respectfully in that same home. We hope it is for everyone who wants it to be. But I think we also want to get to a place where we have different types of housing at the scale, the size, without yards, not apartments and things, just more options for folks. Much as Director Alarcon will talk about more options for mobility, right? We want more people to be able to walk places. We want more people to be able to bike safely on a connected network. We want more people to be able to take the bus. And that is imperative for seniors, for the independence of young people, and that connectivity between neighborhoods, how we walk and get from here to there and take the bus, that makes us stronger as a city, right? We're strong within our neighborhoods when we're connected to each other. I think we find that so often in these snowy times, right? Little secret about me, I might not call in Ms. Alarcon my tertiary street for snow clearance because I just love that quiet, snowy street. Cars slow down, neighbors get out together, they walk, they talk. It's really kind of a special time in a city. And so I get it. We've got to maintain safety, get people to our hospitals, their employment. We really need to prioritize those transit routes for roadway clearance. And I do want to echo the earlier appreciation for Director Alarcon's team. NDOT, our water services are out there 24/7 for busted water pipes. So thank you to all our Metro folks. And again, your council members are your connections to those departments to kind of help you understand the work that they do. And so with that, I think that's everything that Wacy and Jim asked me to touch on, just in an informal fashion. I'm looking down at my list from our conversation, y'all, and I think that's everything. And so I do, Mr. Hawk, do you have my final slide there that has my contact information? If you sometimes honestly it's just as simple as Googling Metro Council Nashville, but if you do go to nashville.gov, I believe it's /departments and council.
Wrong one, Jim.
You can find a link to every single council member. And there we go. So there it is, nashville.gov /departments and council. And I'm going to put them on the spot here. I'm asking all my council members to use that hashtag Metro Council Nash so that you can find the work of the council, and I can find their work as well and share it with you all. Glad to hear about Ms. Ellis's upcoming community meetings. And I know likewise, many council members are having very consistent meetings that you can plug in, you can meet them. Again, we're very accessible. Almost all of them are first name dot last name at nashville.gov. And again, there you see the website, and that's the best way to connect to them all. So thank you all so much for the time today.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. Excellent information. Now, before we move to the last little part, which we're going to open it up for questions, comments, suggestions, recommendations from our guest today, there's somebody who I couldn't see. I saw the name kept showing up. It's Vivian Wilhoit, the assessor of property here in Davidson County. And I just want to give a shout out to her because I think I missed her when we were doing the other elected officials.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Love neighborhoods and love saying hello to Vice Mayor. You're doing a great job. I really appreciate you. And yes, neighborhood is the seed to all leadership. Totally agree with that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wilhoit. And so now, let me check my time. We're doing quite well. It's now 10:48. Our schedule, we were scheduled to finish up today at 11:30. But I think we might be finished before that, but I don't want to spend the time for our audience questions. And so we had a lot of information given out here today, and we're going to open it up. So I think that Jim is going to be able to let people know, because he can see them and I can't. When they raise their hand to say something, Jim's going to take care of that for us, okay? So we have all the, Jim, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so take it away, everybody else.
Just a reminder, if you have any questions from any of the speakers, this is your opportunity to ask them. I did notice earlier, and maybe we should ask Brittany to respond again through the video that we're recording. Are the internships that you were talking about internships?
Oh, no, great question. And I did drop this into the chat. Kathy, by all means, hop on here since you are the point of contact, but they are not paid internships. However, we are committed, and Kathy and I had a meeting this past week about a young man who really wants to do an internship, but he also needs to work. And I said, so we're going to work with you. We want to make sure that, one, we can give you the full experience, but understanding that you've got other obligations and priorities as well, we will work hand in hand with them. And Kathy, you want to add to that?
No, everything you said is correct. They are not, unfortunately, they are not paid internships, but we do give them the flexibility to work while they're there.
Okay.
Martha Carroll asked in the chat, is the property tax freeze based on gross or net income?
Who was that question addressed to, Jim?
I don't know.
Okay.
Someone mentioned
Does somebody have to ask?
Probably Vivian Wilhoit, more than likely.
Vivian, are you there? I think she dropped off.
No, I'm here. I'm here. And I was texting that person that was asking the question. I didn't know that I would be given the opportunity to answer the question. I think they were asking about the tax freeze program and whether it is based on gross income. One of the things you have to know is that the tax freeze program and the tax relief program, they are programs that are provided by the state of Tennessee and administered by the Office of the Trustee. While the Office of the Trustee administers those programs, I think it's very much important that every leader should be able to share the information about the tax freeze program. I cannot tell you if it's based on gross income to be definitive, but I do believe that it is. If you would call 615-862-6330. That is the Office of the Trustee, and that is Erica Gilmore. And she and her amazing staff will be more than happy to get that information for you. And don't forget, there is the tax deferral program, something that no one talks about except us. So we want seniors to know that they can stay in their home and not have to pay taxes until they pass away or until they win the lottery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to ask questions that are dropped into chat, even if they've been answered, just so that when we do the recording, people can watch the recording and get the answer. So there was a question about whether the internships are for college students or can high school students apply?
Yeah, no, great question. And let me tell you, on this listening tour, and also I am an advocate, finding ways to engage our high school students is definitely on our list. As of right now, it's only for collegiate students, but stay tuned because we are internally trying to figure out once again how to create engagement opportunities for high school students as well. Because as I will keep saying, civic engagement starts at the youngest age. So we want to make sure that our high schoolers have the opportunity to, at some point, to really learn about our government and ways that they can get involved.
And Jim, this is Vivian Wilhoit, Assessor Property as well. I would like to mention that I do have and have always had, since I went into office, an internship program. Kathy Buggs and her amazing interns have come over to our office to learn a lot about our programs. This past summer, I had as many as 12 interns, and they were paid interns. So I would love to, of course, if there's any one of you have grandchildren, what have you, you have to have them sit in their resume, not mom, not dad. I want them to be able to sit in their resume and be able to do resume writing. And we select interns and we teach them about the Assessor of Property's office, every facet of it. And they get down to even having a uniform that they must wear. So please send in information regarding your grandchildren or children for that matter. We love our interns. They fuel our future human resource.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
so much.
My pleasure.
One of the things that I always like about these programs is there's so much information that's being passed around that I totally miss in my daily use, but coming here, I get a chance to hear some things. So if there's anything else that people would like to share, you're welcome to do so. We're gonna. I see Kathy Floyd Buggs is up next. Let me bring her up.
I just wanted to mention also that there is a program with Metro Action Commission that does an internship program with high school students. So if someone's interested, they can definitely go to the Metro Action site.
Thank you.
It's called Power Youth.
Power.
Brittany.
And Jim, this is Vivian Wilhoit, your assessor of property again. I just want to also say the person who asked that question about tax freeze, please know that there is also a program that assists seniors beginning at the age of 62 to help in paying their taxes. And that is at the social services. That is at the Department of Social Services. That is another program outside of the tax freeze, tax relief, and tax deferral programs.
Thank you. Hey,
You're
Brittany.
welcome.
Hi. So I kind of wanted to let people know that if you do not have an encampment that is in your neighborhood, they're coming. You will. And one of the greatest things we need, and I would appreciate Angie and any other council members that are in here, is to help protect your community and make sure that people don't die in the woods around your districts, is to look at the outreach oversights. We need outreach oversight. It's so incredibly bad. If you guys don't know about the Safe Syringe program, it's where people can turn in drug needles to get new ones. It's an exchange for harm reduction. However, with that, they have to exchange the needles, provide like information on Narcan, recovery services, referrals. But if these outreach groups don't want to do that, they can just give out needles without following those rules, so they skirt around it. We have outreach groups that are lying to our encampment members about where they're going and what's going to happen to them to scare them into staying homeless and staying in the woods. We have outreach groups that receive kickbacks from rehab and detox centers if the people have the right insurance, and they just drop them off and get their check and leave. We have outreach groups that threaten our community members, our local businesses, and your local businesses are going to be too scared to do anything as far as pressing charges on these outreach groups, because they're not going to want any publicity or news stories or social media posts that they are hindering people who are out there trying to help the homeless. So this is what's going to happen, and it's happening now. We're seeing it in Hermitage, and it's spreading to all over. So when you get your encampments, we just need our council members and law. We need legislation about outreach groups as soon as possible.
See here, Lieutenant Coker, you want to respond to that?
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Michelle Coker, Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, clearly. Brittany, thank you for shedding light on that. I know Sergeant Robert Weaver has been very instrumental in helping out there in Hermitage. She is absolutely right. Our goal, and I would say for law enforcement, I know a lot of people do not like calling law enforcement in these particular issues because historically, I will be honest, I think I'm the only one on here, but historically, I would say that we were part of causing more trauma and harms, to enabling people to go through the criminal justice system without proper services. That has completely changed. Our focus, and Brittany can probably attest to this, our focus is more in providing services to assisting, getting people off the streets, getting people out of the neighborhoods, people's backyards, and getting them into proper housing. Now, let's just be clear, a lot of people do not want to go to housing. We do have, in my division, we have an outreach coordinator. His name is Officer Chuck Embry. He also works with the mayor's office. I know April Calvin, she was on here, and they do a great job as well in collaborative partnerships with getting out into the communities, addressing those issues. And I know but April's team is amazing as well. She has boots on the ground and getting people out there in those encampments, partnering with us. And our goal, again, is not to go out there and arrest people. Now, if we do have to enforce the law because there is things that we need to address, we will. but that is not our primary goal. So please do not hesitate to, one, reach out to your Metro Council people, and two, reach out to your local precinct so you can put that on our radar. And three, reach out to the Office of Homeless Services and MHED, because again, they do tremendous work. I can't stress that enough. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Coker.
Vice Mayor, I saw that you were about ready to respond. Did you want to say something?
I was. I appreciate Officer Coker so much. Hello, Michelle. I haven't seen you in a long time. I appreciate all the work you do. I did want to highlight that April Calvin, our Director of Homeless Services, is on the call today and has been, I think, from the start. So I appreciate her presence in this forum today. And April, I didn't know if you wanted just to respond briefly to the earlier question, or have anything to add to what Ms. Coker shared, or Officer Coker rather.
Absolutely. Thank you all for this opportunity. Did not know I was going to be talking, so hopefully my hair is okay.
You're gorgeous.
Right. You're great. You're great.
Thank you. Thank you. So, there's a lot of work that goes into homelessness. It is a very complex issue. And, there's resources, unprecedented resources that our council member, vice mayor, and current mayor have actually helped to bring on board. So we're excited for that. Sometimes it takes a little bit. Once the funds are deployed, now you'll start seeing the fruits of the labor. Doesn't happen overnight. There are multiple outreach teams. My office, we have an outreach team. We hold the database for homeless efforts here in Nashville. And then we also have the coordinated entry process that helps to connect people to the resources that are available. So just want you to know there's a lot of work. I've talked closely with Brittany. We hadn't talked in a little while, but she kind of understands our process and understands some of our difficulties as well. What we are focusing on, as we brought on some more staff, we have some new outreach workers, is to assist with the coordination of outreach workers. We are not, we are the leaders in homelessness, but we are not, all agencies have their own mission, vision, goals, and strategies. So what we really want to do is make sure that those mission, vision, goals, and strategies all align to a much larger community strategy, and then ensuring that we have coordination around those efforts as it relates to encampments. If you are not aware, the annual point in time count, which is the HUD federal regulated count that all communities will do at least once per year. That's coming up next week. Thank God we got the bad weather this week so that next week it won't be delayed. And that's where agencies and service providers and nonprofits, other elected officials will actually go out and count individuals that are experiencing homelessness. What we're striving to do is to make sure that our database really captures that true number of homelessness. And the only way to do that is to do an independent count once a year, and then matching that to what we have right now. So there's a lot of work that's going into this. And I understand Brittany's concerns as it relates to other mission, vision, goals, and strategies that may be deployed by other service providers, but I think everyone's trying to do the best that they can in this space. And we have a lot of meetings. If you guys want to get actively involved in other meetings, just in case we have any spare time, there's some continuum of care meetings that we have on the third Thursday of the month. We have our Homeless Planning Council. There's some of our council members that may be on this call, and it is the second Wednesday of every month. And then there's a lot of small group committees. We have over 15 committees. If that tells you how complex this problem is, just want you to know there's a lot of work that's going into this. So getting actively involved really will help. Sometimes we get more siloed in our work, and the only way to kind of cast out some of that internal confusion is to bring more like-minded people to the meeting. So please, if you have any spare time, please come and join us if you're available.
Thank you, April. Thank you very much.
Like the air traffic control, just as a blizzard's happening, we have 8 people lined up to speak. So please, I'm trying to write everybody down. Sadat's here today, and she wants to talk to the vice mayor. Will there be a property tax reduction? There was a 34% jump a few years back and she has a few of her community members who want to know about that.
I appreciate the question. I don't think we ever sort of approach the annual budget work from that perspective. I recognize the challenge that was incurred by Nashvillians in having the rate adjustment that we had. So, you know, a 34% change to the rate. I want to convey that. So it's, you know, subsequent to each assessment. Obviously, you have your assessor, Ms. Wilhoit, here who can speak to it as well. But reassessment, property assessment is revenue neutral, right? And so with each reassessment, that rate has to be reset. And resetting the rate through, you know, what was a fairly volatile time for Nashville of multiple mayors and multiple administrations. So that did mean that was a big lift at that time. And you know, I know myself, it was an interesting cohort. Myself, now Mayor O'Connell, and former Councilman Glover were the three council members that had packages of amendments to try to get that rate adjustment or increase down last time. So I know the mayor and myself were both mindful of trying to get that. We needed that rate increase for sure. And I did vote to support it. But I did try to make it a little less of a increase there. So, you know, I think that, you know, I don't anticipate a rate increase. And Ms. Wilhoit, I think, can speak to the cycle of reassessment. I know we have some state legislation that is going to potentially enable local communities to adjust their cycle of reassessment. Nashville's property values, I don't need to tell you all, have been just, you know, going up and up and up and up and up. And so the longer the time you have in between property assessment or appraisal, that, you know, you can see some kind of jumps and so forth. So I hope that answers that question. I can't say with certainty, but I do not anticipate that.
If I, and that was well said, Vice Mayor, if I could just add in order to know that you're going to have first of all, there was not a 34% increase in reference to the property tax. In reference that it was a medium increase in value in the last reappraisal of 2021. In 2017, it was a medium increase of 37%. What that says is that Nashville was hot in reference to sales and what property values were bringing on an open market in a reappraisal year. Remember, a reappraisal value stays the same for the next 4 years. So your value could be appreciating over 4 years, but your value with the city, as the assessor has said, well, basically my amazing staff and I have said, it will not change unless you have, unfortunately, some type of damage to your home, which we got a press release out on that now, on how you get assistance on that, or if you were to expand or improve upon your property. The tax rate that we have now is the third lowest tax rate in Davidson County's history. It did go up in 2017, well, after 2017, when John Cooper took the reins, because there had not been a tax increase prior to that time. So to know if there's going to be a tax increase, like Vice Mayor just stated, you won't know it until they start the budget to see how are they going to pay for the city's bills, and how are the improvements are going to be funded, such as transit. So we won't know that until then. But the medium increase, that was a medium increase in value, not in the tax rate. It has come down. Now we have the third lowest tax rate in Davidson County history. Shelby County's tax rate is almost double of Davidson County, because they have no growth. I can go on and talk about that all day, but yeah.
Thank you. So I got a question from Carl, and then Jeremiah is up. The Vice Mayor, Carl wants to know, will you appoint committee chairs and members to make affordable housing for every person in Nashville a true priority of Metro? For 27 years, candidates have always promised us this, but they have gone on to give priority subsidies to billionaires for their sports team hobbying houses. Can you take that on?
I appreciate the question, Carl. I was trying to type a reply and I wasn't done with it, so I'm glad we get to speak to it. I did not vote for the stadium deal or subsidy. I would say those of us who have just come into elected leadership or returned to elected leadership throughout the campaign of this past summer absolutely know and understand that issues of affordability are top of mind for all Nashvillians of all ages. Young, middle age, and old, concern about young people returning to Nashville, their ability to live here. We talked about the challenges earlier of aging in place. Because this is such a concern for this city and all cities, this is an issue in many cities. And Ms. Wilhoit alluded to it. We are a booming town. We are growing quite a bit, and that growth comes with some challenges. But we do have, led by Angie Hubbard, an affordable housing division within our planning department. And it is absolutely all the things. It is federal and state subsidized housing. It is helping people stay where they are. It is also building new housing. We have a supply issue. We are behind, as are many cities. And so, sometimes we're having to have challenging conversations about getting the density of housing that we need. But our countywide general plan, Nashville Next, does show us where we want that density to be. Nashvillians said that they want that density aligned with transit. That is an important part of affordability. Housing affordability, livability in this city is inextricably linked with multimodal transportation access, right? So that people can work near to where they live. We should not have to have Nashvillians, longtime Nashvillians moving to the periphery of the county, to Smyrna, to other areas, drive till they qualify is often the way that is referred to. And so, Mr. Meyer, we are, as a city and a council, in our transportation department, in our planning department, through our land use policy, through our nonprofit partnerships, I feel that we are working very diligently to focus on this. And what I do want to say to neighbors is we can do both, right? We can retain the beloved character of your neighborhood and build more housing to have more neighbors to enjoy the beautiful neighborhood. So we've got to do both. That is an important partnership with neighborhoods. We can respect historic communities and build more housing. And we've got to do that. And we've had thousands and thousands of units come through the last council. And we will have thousands and thousands more come through this council. And I very much, in this role as vice mayor with my council members, we are working to kind of do orientation and education about land use policy and the importance of, especially from a neighborhood perspective, I think gentle density, missing middle. What do these things kind of look like, right? You can have a beautiful 4-square home in a historic neighborhood, and you might not know that is in fact 3 or 4 residences in there. right? And so we've got to have more of what we call the missing middle. And I know we've got a lot of policymakers, Mr. Meyer, who are interested in working on that in partnership with our planning department and their very specific and intentional affordable housing division.
Thank you. Let me bring Jeremiah Wooten up for an actual in-person question or comment.
Hello, thank you. My question is probably for a couple people, for both Keith and the Vice Mayor. I was super impressed hearing about the work of Westminster and those repairs, and it made me think about my grandparents who were living in Atlanta in a 4,000 square foot, 5-bedroom home at the top of a steep driveway. And, you know, as their mobility became limited, it became clear that, you know, hiking up and down this driveway to get to the mailbox and up and down stairs to get to their second floor bedroom just wasn't conducive anymore. You know, it was a great home when they had a bunch of kids and grandkids and could keep everyone for Christmas, but they weren't using and couldn't maintain all that space. And as we were searching in their neighborhood, in their area for homes that were 1 or 2 bedroom, that had a ground floor, first floor bedroom for them, we couldn't find anything. The closest thing, and they were in Atlanta, that we found to them was like 6 or 7 miles away from their neighborhood, which in Atlanta traffic is, you know, a 30-minute drive away from their church, from their friends. So kind of for Keith, have you ever had homes that you've entered and saw, you know, this just isn't conducive for where this person is in their life anymore? It was great when they were raising kids, but maybe it's not the right fit for them now as their mobility becomes more limited and as they're living alone. And then for the Vice Mayor, you've talked about this housing a lot, but how do we advocate and get that to happen? You know, how do we give people that option of maybe relocating a block away and being able to age in place still in their neighborhood versus right now, a lot of the options for people to relocate, they have to move miles away to find something that's more conducive for where they are.
I have spoken a lot already. I will absolutely answer that question, but I did want to defer to Keith if he's still here to respond to the first part of your question. Keith.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. And also I wanted to recognize Terry Ripoon, our founder, is on with us. So I'd love for Terry to respond to anything that I missed. But Jeremiah, I'll tell you, it's from a personal standpoint for me, how relatable what we do. We all are aging. We all have parents, grandparents, people that we know. Either the house they're living in has had deferred maintenance to the point where it's not working for them anymore, or they've reached a point in their age that they're not working and having to have the house accommodate them better. So I keep finding that the people in the greater Nashville area are able to stay in their home. If we can do, you know, we average $3,000 to save a house, and we just do what they need to have done. So in the case where people are upstairs, they need to be on the ground floor, there's, you know, some of those quickly get out of our ability to do that if they're needing a chair lift versus us being able to put a ramp. So we do run into some homes that we just can't service, or the homes have been in a state so long that there's just not going to be able to be repaired. You could certainly put thousands of dollars in a home, you know, and still it not be safe and functional. For me personally, I also had to do the same thing. I lived in Franklin for 18 and a half years and worked here in Nashville, but then my father and mother-in-law approached us from Texas, both 83, and asked what we thought about sharing a home together. And that was a big call, you know, but we embraced that, loved the idea, but we had to move, sell our home and move actually to Fairview to find property that we could even afford to remodel and house them with us. So I think it touches at every level on that. Terry, would you want to add anything?
No, I echo that. We do find as an example, and your example of the elevation is a good one, that you know, we try to build ramps and things like that in a 1 inch to 1 foot, which is the best, you know, that's the way it should be done if you can for safety. And so, you know, sometimes you could be creative and you can find there's a back porch where you can come off the side, something that might not be obvious. But if you're talking about a 7 foot, 7 stairs, there are situations where we just have to say we cannot make this safe and functional, and we won't work on a house that we don't think we can get to a safety level. So that is, I would say there's somewhere between 5 and 10% of the houses that we go see that we cannot, we just have to say we're not going to be able to help. And we explain why, which maybe that helps the person understand the reality of the solution. Because if you actually look at it and you say, well, it would take a, 80-foot ramp to get out of this house in a safe way, and it sort of starts to understand the issue. I would also say one more thing. I've been thinking about this discussion today, and you may be asking yourself, well, I know people who need repairs, and how do I actually connect them to you all? You say you do 240 houses a year. Where do you get them? And I would say that Keith would be very happy to come to any of your community events. Maybe we could bring 50 Forward, who does our case management intake, and we could actually have people, your neighbors, come and sign up for services. So if anybody's interested in that, please reach out to Keith, because we are here in this neighborhood. We're in Nashville, and we love Nashville, and we would love more people to be able to stay in their homes.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry.
Vice Mayor, I know you wanted to make comments.
Yeah. So to follow up on the other part of Jeremiah's question, I think I would ask our faith communities and neighbors and all of our partners serving the senior community to think about, co-housing models, different models of housing. I'd ask every Nashvilleian to look at a place where there is a sea of asphalt and a really large parking lot and start to think about how we might house people there instead of cars. We've got to kind of evolve our suburban development pattern often. Mr. Wooten's example of his grandparents, Hilltop, far away, that definitely that screams suburban. I know that's not the same for everyone wanting to age in place, often in existing walkable communities. But I think, like a 50 Forward, Jeremiah, the WeGo Link service in the WeGo Link zones. I think we need to partner with organizations and faith communities that serve seniors so that they are aware about the $2 Uber ride. It's supposed to be kind of first mile, last mile from transit. I know myself, the bus that I take, the 3B on the west side, is about a mile from my house, and I don't have sidewalks between here and there. So if I were to think about a senior residing on my street, how would they get to and use that bus? Obviously, for some seniors, they would qualify for Access Ride service. And then, as I mentioned, the nonprofit Senior Ride is working to support seniors that are in suburban contexts. But to your point, Jeremiah, around advocacy and educating, I really do think it is just continuing to show folks options. We've kind of got a default mindset of what our land use patterns are and how we drive everywhere. And I recall really before my council service, driving out with my child to volunteer on a Habitat for Humanity build. Habitat for Humanity is an excellent organization. But I drove and drove, and we drove and drove. And then we got to a nice little suburban cul-de-sac, lovely community built by Habitat. But even before my council service, I guess that's my kind of growth and structure of cities awareness from an educational perspective, I'm thinking like, okay, well, this is affordable based on the very kind volunteers and the structure that Habitat sets up. But is it really? Because that development was car dependent. Okay, there was no transit access. So anybody who lived in that home would have to own a car. The cost of owning a car, repairing a car, it's not just repairing your home, it's also repairing your car, maintaining your car, putting gas in your car. And so I think a lot of, sometimes we kind of have windshield bias because everything that we might see around us is car dependent, is the suburban development model. So I do think, Jeremiah, there is just talking a little bit more about how we can partner both nonprofit and in the development community about having new models of development that are more sustainable and senior friendly.
Thank you. We have time for one last question, and it's going to be Sherry McCall. The questions that were put into chat, if we didn't get to them, we're going to forward them to the appropriate people with your name and contact information so that they can get back to you. So if you have questions that you want to ask, make sure you put them in the chat so that we can get to them. Sherry, your question, please.
Yes, and it's two short things. Keith came to Glencliff and did a presentation to us about a year ago, and I met a lady recently who I went to her house to pick something up, and she could barely get up her own steps, and she was clearly miserable. So I told her about them, and they're at the assessment process now with her, and will start construction this spring. It's a fantastic program, and if you see anybody or hear of anybody, you should tell them about it, because it'll make a world of difference for this lady's life. And the other thing, so thank you, Keith, for coming out to us. If you're still on here, thank you. I would really like to talk to Brittany McCann at some point about the homeless issue that they have. We're in the 16th district, and we have a growing problem and a council person who supports that. So we just need some help for some direction and some understanding.
Okay, thank you. Lacey, back to you.
Thank you, everyone. I hope that this forum was helpful. I hope that you had a chance to reflect on some of the information that was given out today. And, I'm gonna just have to be honest with you. I got some information, and it took something out of me, and I want to totally apologize. But they say the show must go on, and I know that the show is going on. But right now, I'm very, very sad about my friend. And so please accept my deepest apology. Thank you for coming.
Apologize to us for being human.
Thank you for coming. And I want to just ask you to please know that C4N24 is going to be I don't want to say the best one, because we're going to continue to have them, so this can't be the best one. But please make sure you register. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, just reach out to me. The phone number is the same one, 615-782-8212. You can contact me with anything that you have, any question that you have about Neighbor to Neighbor. Register for the conference, and I'll see you on the next event. Thank you for joining us.
Everybody, see you soon.
Bye-bye.